Three-question passage. We'll quickly read the passage and answer questions. Early in the 20th century, many owners of iconic companies of the day were women. Okay, we had in the 20th century, early 20th century, there were many women owners. Iconic, huge companies, brand, big names had women owners. But men had little respect for women's ability to exercise their rights as owners to discipline company management. You might as well ask the clouds in the air to propel the road locomotives. William Cook, a widely read legal scholar, wrote in 1914. That shows you how much respect they gave women in those days. This combination, which combination? The feminization of capital and men's disdain for it, has had repercussions, effects right up to today. Women owners and men's scorn of women's ownership, both these have had effects even now. The lack of faith in women's capabilities as shareholders contributed to de emphasizing of a shareholder's role in running companies. Women were owners, they were shareholders. Therefore, what did men do? They de emphasized, they lessened the importance of shareholders in running the company. Laws and regulations came to rely instead on the stock market to discipline companies. The idea being that shareholders should exit companies if they are uncomfortable with how they run. Discipline will occur through stock prices. So, if the company is doing well, the stock prices will do well. You are unhappy with the way the company is run, you can go away. As far as the stock prices are good, our company is doing well. That's still kind of the way things work. Executives who are paid in shares and stocks options have an incentive to make the stock prices go up. Corporate governance law emphasizes disclosure, so shareholders have the information they need to decide whether to stay or sell. One problem: market based discipline doesn't work for shareholders if they care about things other than the share price, such as fighting climate change. So, shareholders, you look at the price. If it's doing well, you can stay. If it's not, you can go. But if you have other concerns about how a company is run despite owning it, you can't. That's the problem. If you allow market price to determine shareholding, then shareholders, if they have other views, if they're unhappy with, let's say, a company's attitude towards climate change, they can't do anything about it. Shareholders own the company, but their agents, the executives, efficiently control it. It's the people who are running the company who actually control it. Since so many shareholders were women, it was easy for male professors and executives to think of shareholders as passive and managers as active. Women, shareholders, passive. Men, executives in companies, active. That was the perception. Sexism was blatant for decades. This attitude was open for decades. When in 1953, a female shareholder of Standard Oil in New Jersey, asked why the company had no female directors, even though it reported having more women than men as shareholders, the chairman, Frank Abrams, said the company hadn't found a woman who can contribute to the problems we have to face. He added, I was going to say that first they would start with our interior decorating. This is the reason he gave. The firmly held belief that women were content to be passive owners wasn't even accurate. He says that people thought women are happy being passive shareholders. He says that's not accurate. One can recount the activism of several women, including Wilma Sauce, who challenged corporate policies that required female employees to retire at 57 versus 65 for men, and was forcibly removed from an annual meeting of IBM for persisting in trying to nominate a female director from the force. So there was women's activism. They did protest this, but nothing was done. The 1950s marked the beginning of the end of feminization of capital. But in 1915, even that feminization of capital started ending. More and more shares were held by institutions rather than individuals, and nearly all of those institutions were run by men. The institutions owned shares in many companies, relying more on diversification to protect themselves from bad management. The conceptual division of companies between owners and managers is a relic of the early 20th century, one that mapped easily into societies two separate spheres, women and men. So basically, owners, women, managers, men. The division is really three parts: managers, a handful of very large asset managers, and ordinary shareholders. Why have William Cook and Frank Abrams been quoted in the passage? William Cook is the man who said that you might as well ask, why can't women run companies? He said, ask the clouds to run a locomotive. Frank Abrams was the man who was asked, why aren't there more women directors? He said, we don't have, there is no woman who's capable enough into doing it. If they are there, they should start with interior decorating. So why were these two quoted? To illustrate the view of legal scholars. No, William Cook is the only legal scholar there. I don't know. Frank Abrams is the chairman of the company, I think. To show the power that men held in company, these comments don't show so much of their power as the lack of respect that they have for women, right? In each case, they're answering a question. They might have been powerless, but they can still speak. Both have come up with negative comments about women's ability. So, not so much the power. Demonstrate the domination of men, same thing, same reason we eliminated. To show the disdain that men had for women to run companies, right? So, that is the correct one.